Are you tired of blowing out your back at the bathtub while washing your dog or subjecting your canine to a water torture bath while leashed up to a post outside? Now there's a far more effective way to wash your pet while saving your back and keeping your dog happy. It's called Booster Bath, a portable bathtub on legs. Head over to boosterbath.com, one word, and pick one up. Available in 3 sizes, this tub system features a drain, a soap cubby, and water controlling wand. This tub conveniently breaks down to be stored when not in use. Want to save 10% on your first time purchase? Head over and sign up today to make that happen. Boosterbath.com. This is the Hard Parking Podcast, brought to you by Wright Honda out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm your host, Shay Finning. Hopefully you guys got your taxes in. Tax day has came and gone. We got ours in. Quite the crunch. Wife was giving me a lot of shit. It's this thing. So every year when I try to do my little side business, my little side hustles, I keep track of all my stuff loosely on an Excel sheet. So if you guys do the same thing, God bless you. I tried to do the QuickBooks once, but it takes a lot of setup. Like with One Auto, it's just me. And even when it wasn't just me, it was just me. And I looked up and I realized, I was like, holy shit. I've been paying like $30 a month for this software that I have not used. So I had to cancel it. But this time around with Hard Parking Media, which is what this podcast is a part of, or even my other stuff, Mars-Based Design, you know, I don't know. I do this thing every year where I just don't know what to claim and how to claim it. So I wait for my wife to yell at me at tax time because she does this thing where she stresses out unnecessarily. And a lot of people listening out there are the same way. Either you do it, your spouse does it. If you're married, your mother does it, your son does it, your father does it, whoever, somebody in your life, or maybe nobody does it. Maybe you're not at that point in your life yet where these type of things even bother you. Or maybe you're so far, you know, maybe you have a CPA and you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. But, you know, the turn of the year, January, we started getting our tax forms and the flip out. It's like, oh my God, we're going to have to owe so much money. And I go, well, have you done all the taxes yet? Well, no, but we're going to have to owe so much money. So we'll just relax. Just relax. Just stop. Your anxiety is killing me. Okay. Just relax and let's just settle down and let's go through the stuff. We'll plug in the numbers and then we'll evaluate and then we'll see where we're at when we're finished. And then we panic, or then we chill and don't panic. And I approach everything like that. It's like these events. You know, I have someone, bless her heart, she is one of the hardest working people ever, but it'll be 2 weeks away from an event, a week and a half outside of an event. And if we don't have people who sign up, it starts losing a little bit. And I said, hey, don't worry about it. It's going to happen. It always happens. We will find a way. We always find a way. And if we don't get as many people as we want, at least we have some people to make it happen. And it always works out. And whether it's taxes, whether it's the honey-do list, whether it's, you know, your child needs 100 signatures to go on this. Well, actually, your child's not going to get those 100. If it ain't your kid, you don't care. That's usually how this works. I always had this observation. It's like people think their kids are the cutest kids in the world. They're not. People don't care if it's not your kids or someone in your family's kids or someone in your circle's kids, like one of your great friends. You don't really care about kids. Now, are you going to run kids over in your car when you see them because you don't care about kids? No, you're not a monster. But when some little kid comes knocking on your door trying to sell stuff so they can go to London, you're going to be like, see ya, slam the door, or you're going to do this number that we do is where you send the other person to the door. Someone came to the door the other day and my wife's like, yeah, I did. I took the door the other day, and she's right. Which, by the way, this opening is not going to be nothing but rambling. Which, by the way, we've been talking about this for 7 years now. We want to buy a no soliciting sign. and put it on our door. Because we get some of the most random stuff. And if it's not the door knocks, it's the chicken shit things where they wait for you to leave and then they put the business card. Like landscaping people, I'm talking to you specifically. Oh, by the way, coming up on today's show, Nate Smith from ridefox.com will join us to talk about how he started working for Fox Factory and some of the things he's done with Ford. Super talented guy. I've known him for years. It feels like years, maybe 8 or 9 years. Kept in loose contact with him over the years, a little bit younger. But some of the things that he's been able to do, it's very impressive. And sky's the limit for this guy. So I think you're really going to like this interview with Nate Smith. We also have a guest for the rental car of the week. That's right. I found someone. Cam Kupta will join and tell you why he hates the Mustang. He rented a convertible Mustang and he's going to tell you all about it. Also, Q&A segment is back. That's right. I know you guys have missed the Q&A segment. The Q&A segment would not be anything without your participation because I get my questions from you, the listener. If this is your first time listening to the show, welcome to the podcast. If you're a returning guest, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. When this is done, if you have not done so already, leave a review if you're listening somewhere that allows you to leave a review. If not, join us on the Hard Parking Violations Facebook page. What we do as podcasters is very difficult. It's a grind. And I know that some people say this podcast sounds great and it sounds professionally produced. It's not. I am sitting in a spare bedroom in my house and I am everything. I have no writer. I have no producer. I have no sound guy. I am all of the above. And so I work really hard at this and I appreciate you guys for coming in and gals and listening to my podcast because I try to offer something that you can't get at other places. Yeah, it's an automotive podcast. It's a non-automotive automotive podcast. And I may talk to an A-list actor or I may talk to somebody who lives down the street. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has a story. Everybody has an opinion, and it's fun to kind of involve everybody because we have podcasts out there where all they want is the top guests. They want the big names all the time. I don't care about the big names. It's cool if I can get someone like Cody Walker on here to have a conversation with me about his life. It's awesome. But it's also awesome to have Nikki Robinson on here to talk about her Civic and her K-Swap Kia Soul. The soul of my Civic. Because nobody else is reaching out to her and saying, hey, come on the podcast and tell everybody, tell people in India, tell people in Canada about your car. I give you that shine. And I thank everybody for listening. So that's today's show. Anyway, back to we do this thing. You know, you have to just relax, whether it's taxes, you know, whether it's planning events. You just have to be even keeled and you have to wait for everything to play out. Life isn't perfect. If we knew what was going to happen, then nothing would be exciting. How about that crypto crash? 1.2 trillion in cryptocurrency crashed. And as you guys know, I recently started investing in some crypto. I hold some Bitcoin. I hold some Ethereum. And I'm still holding them. But man, I cannot imagine the people who lost. But it sure is quiet on social media with the crypto burst. Am I right? Remember, one of the big turnouts was people who just keep blasting you in the face with how much the price of Dogecoin is. Dogecoin, which still isn't worth shit. Ethereum, no one really talks about, but that's kind of like the secret sauce out there. Bitcoin. Bitcoin went from $59,000 for one complete coin to like $30,000, like within 3 days. So there's people out there who lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's corporations that lost millions and billions of dollars. At one point in time, I was up. I cashed a little bit out to take care of something. And now I think I've invested more than I have there now. I think. Not a lot, but just enough. but it'll turn around, hopefully. I mean, and if it doesn't, I can just pull my money out. But stay the course. Just like I said 5 minutes ago, don't panic no matter what it is. Stay the course. Make sure your taxes are good. Make sure your taxes are in. IRS said that they're going to come at you a little harder. I think I talked about masks last time. Before we continue on with this show, I'm just going to say one more thing. The other day I went to Home Depot and they did not have a sign that says wear a mask. So I did not have a mask on. Half the employees had one on, half the employees didn't, half the customers did. Actually, less than half the customers did. Maybe 20% of the customers did and most didn't. And I didn't. And I got to tell you, it felt very liberating. I was getting so sick of walking in there and throwing my mask on. But I did it. If the sign on the door says do it, I did it. So I'm wondering, are we done with masks? And I mean, I have peers out there who I don't think they do the research. Magnetic vaccines, if you put a magnet to the spot, no, that's just ridiculous. And there's not just one vaccine, there's multiple. But there's still some crazy stuff out there. People are just saying some crazy shit. And it's getting crazier. I thought all this was going away as soon as we got a new president, right? It was a light switch. Everyone claimed it was a light switch. Of course not. Of course not. Gas prices are through the roof. A lot of finger pointing. You can't even make cars. There's no new cars. No new cars. Wes Tankersley, friend of the show, said the Ford dealership in Boise said they had 3 new cars on the lot. 3. I talked to my sponsor, Right Honda in Scottsdale, Arizona. He said that they have cars out there, but they have some vehicles. It's been like 100 days now since they've got new stuff. And the vehicles that they do have are marked up. Market adjustment. It's not even the dealer. It's market adjustment. A couple Civic Type R's are $20,000 over market. They're $20,000 over asking price because there's a shortage. These little chips. There's a shortage on the foam that makes the chairs. There's a shortage on these little microchips. I'm not quite sure what's going on. All I know is I still have my old Infiniti. I still have my new Infiniti. I still have my NSX. We still have our Audi. Yeah. But it's the time. I've been talking about this now for a couple of years. 2021 is the year that I make my decision on the future of my NSX. Because, man, there's cars out there that I want. But there's also cars out there that I can get without having to sell my car, my NSX. I'm addicted to bring a trailer. There's some really nice cars on there. Coming up, Nate Smith. Time for the social media highlight of the week. Social media highlight is sponsored by Cell Shop, an Arizona-based retailer that strives to be your destination of choice for wireless services. Visit them at cellshop.us. That's cellshop.us. Today's guest is Nate Smith of the Fox Factory. Nate, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jay, good to be on.
So how you been? I mean, just so people can understand, we've known each other for a while. We see each other on social media. You're in Michigan. I'm in Arizona. But I watch you. You're always doing stuff. I've kind of watched your life. Sometimes you're on social media, sometimes you're not. But one thing I've known is you've always been really busy and you've always been involved in stuff. And so I think I reached out to you a while ago. I said, hey, man, got to get you on the podcast. And you said, hell yeah, let's make it work.
No, yeah, we were friends for a long time. And then you decided, hey, I'm just going to lickety split, move across the country away from this awesome guy.
I mean, not personal, but West Michigan, Phoenix, Summers, I'll take the heat.
You made the right move.
Thank you. So what have you been up to lately?
Working like crazy. So as most people know, I work at Fox Factory, or a lot of people know us as Fox Racing Shocks. So all the cool stuff you see on Ford Raptors are a lot of off-road vehicles, that kind of stuff. I produce a lot of the video work for that company. And so I'm based over here, obviously, like you said, Southwest Michigan. So I'm in the Coldwater Fox Factory plant. So I handle the off-road suspension side of things, where we get to work with cool off-road Jeeps, trucks, all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, no, I've been just kind of burning the candle at both ends, handling 6 brands and producing all the content for them. And it's been a wild ride.
And then what were you doing when I ran into you at SEMA? Because I knew you were going places, especially when you're like, hey guys, come and hang out with me at the Ford basically the entire north end of the hall, and then you took us credentialed up to like your little hangout spot. And I was like, damn, this kid is doing stuff.
So back in 2017, it was Fox Factory at the time, but it was just Fox. Then they just recently added the word factory to try and make it more of an umbrella company. When we met back in 2017, we actually finished building what I would consider is our ultimate, most badass truck we've ever built. We took a brand new, at the time, it was a 2018 or 19, no, it was a 2018 Super Duty that we were one of the first companies to get our hands on it, for that spec and year and all that kind of thing from Ford. We took it in, chopped the truck in half, shortened it up so we could get a short wheelbase, put this crazy Baja suspension, custom one-off everything, quadruple bypass shocks, and coil. It was just one capable pre-runner diesel truck that we built for Ford, and then Ford obviously put it on display in their booth, where I got you guys credentials to come join me, go check out the truck, come to our booth, check out all the other stuff we built. And obviously I was there shooting all the video for Ford and for Fox Factory at the same time.
But you understand how awesome that is, right? I mean, I'm sure you do, because you're still there.
I guess now that I say it out loud, it's a lot cooler. I just do it so much I don't really think about it. But yeah, that is pretty fun.
I mean, Ford's kind of a big player, in everything.
Yeah, but it's fun getting a chance, because I'm allowed to talk about it now, but for the virtual SEMA that everyone got a chance to watch, because obviously they didn't have SEMA this year, so Ford did their own like virtual reality kind of thing where they had people build their specialty vehicles. We were the first people outside of Ford to actually get the all new F-150, and I'm sitting here kind of driving around back roads and stuff, and now I'm not allowed to like say anything, and we're supposed to keep it all low key and stuff as we're building this cool off-road version of the F-150. And it's really hard for me to keep my mouth shut on that kind of stuff, because I love talking about vehicles all the time.
So when you're rolling around into this thing, do people notice? Because, we see these spy photos, and do they have this thing all wrapped up, or does it actually look like just a normal truck?
So I won't exactly disclose where we do the driving and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And all that stuff. But there's the occasion where we get a little too close to the public, like bigger public area, and someone will see us, but odds are it's just like a soccer mom just kind of like going home or something. They don't really care. There was one time though where a guy in let's just call it a shitbox truck, he was rolling in, and he took one look at this thing. He's just whipped a full U-turn and just started speeding towards us. And we're like, oh, we gotta
go.
We gotta get out of here.
Do you guys have a safe word? Like someone just yells Cobra, and that means get in your car and get the hell out of there?
Basically, not quite like that, but we're just like, yeah, we gotta get this thing back to the garage kind of thing.
And so is it? That's what I mean though, because you see the spy photos, you see the photos in the back of Auto Week magazine where the car is like half wrapped in camo, and then everything else is kind of black. Is that what you guys have to roll around in when you get those opportunities, or do you kind of look like a normal vehicle?
It's
people who know.
We get the whole thing.
Okay, yeah. So people who know what they're looking at, and that's when they start chasing you.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So, but we're fairly in a very remote area, so you'd have to be really trying to catch me during a video shoot when we're shooting stuff.
So for our listeners, what is your exact longitude and latitude location? What are your coordinates?
I will just gladly point you towards like Daytona Speedway or something.
Right. So you also used to do a bunch of stuff with maybe it was just your personal stuff. Like back when I was still there, you had really cool Jeep builds you were always working on. Was that more of a hobby, or was that kind of a stepping stone to get kind of noticed? Like, how did you get into working with Fox?
So yeah, I built my first Jeep back in 2012, and that was when at the same time I was working with Dustin as we created what DC Strong, the nonprofit that helps kids fighting cancer. Mm-hmm. From there, and that's a whole awesome story in its own thing, but just keeping it related to automotive stuff. I built the Jeep to be the cancer response unit and help bring care packages to kids fighting cancer and all that stuff. And at the same time, it started kind of morphing into this whole thing where I just started, putting in all my different hobbies of off-roading, automotive, sports cars, all this kind of stuff. And a lot of people just kind of started taking notice of it as we kind of grew this nonprofit to be what it is today. And then from there, I got a few companies that offered me jobs to be in their automotive marketing department because they're like, wow, this guy's really marketing this Jeep to a lot of people. Maybe we can use some of his, I guess we'll call it skills or whatever for marketing purposes. And then I kind of just branched my way through a smaller company. And then eventually when I went to SEMA the first time over in Vegas for some Jeep products I developed, and I'm trying to make sure I got this all in the right order. I developed some Jeep products through a smaller company, and then Fox Factory kind of took notice of some of the marketing things I was doing, and then I got offered a position over with them when they were a lot smaller, and so I kind of just got in the door there. And then I was originally going to go on as sales and some of marketing, and then they saw in my resume, like very small under hobbies, videography. They're like, what do you do? What do you do there? I was like, oh, I like to shoot video for fun. So kind of just blossomed right there.
What I'm hearing and all that, and you're not going to get away with this, but first off, what I'm hearing is, man, you just did you did it the right way, and people noticed. And that's kind of one of the things that I think get forgotten in, like, nobody really talks about this is the way you get to where you go. Just keep doing, just make sure you show as much people, just start, spamming them. No, I live there, right? It's not like you're not in the middle of New York, you're not in LA, you're not even in Detroit.
No, I am in the farthest area from any big city.
Yeah, and people notice. So it's like, just keep doing what you're doing and make sure you do it right, because you do stuff right. I mean, you're a gentleman. Your effort with DC Strong, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm not going to let you get away with, because guess what? This is the non-automotive podcast, which means we can talk about everything.
Right.
And I think that's an important foundation for you, because you were doing all that stuff first, and it takes a special person to do those things that you were doing at such a young age. And so I want to
countless hours.
Yeah, but I want to kind of take you back to that. Why was it so important to you to do the DC Strong with Dustin, and then taking that another step further? Do you think that's what, in the back of your mind, that work ethic, that humility, seeing so many children in those situations and some turn for the worse, help kind of feel you moving forward? So, why was that so important to you?
So when I helped Dustin for the first time, that feeling was awesome. Creating the DC Strong brand and all that kind of stuff, which stands for Dustin Collier Strong. I did that as kind of like it was assigned to me as a high school project of how would you change the world? I flipped it to how do you change someone's world? And I feel like that goes a lot farther. If you can change someone's world, that person can feel motivated to change someone else's world, and eventually you have this whole spider web of things happening.
100%.
More organically, more in a more concrete way than trying to just do a blanket thing where I want to change the world kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, Dustin was so impacted. He came back to me and he's like, I want to create this as a whole thing. I don't know what this thing is, but there's some sort of energy that we need to build off of for it. Not to sound like all hippie, like saying there's an energy, but that's
yeah, you're good. You gotta feel the flow, man.
I'm feeling some vibes, man.
There you go.
No, from there, I mean, him and I, we bounced our heads back and forth trying to figure out what we want to do, and we ended up just kind of coming up with this idea of care packages because we were into Call of Duty at the time. And so we came up with this idea to reach out to different kids that are going through the fight with cancer and all that stuff, trying to figure out what their favorite hobbies are through their friends and family. And then we would take all the ideas and try and put them into this giant crate. And then when we went to help our first cancer patient, it wasn't much. It was literally just an Xbox 360 and an Xbox 360 Connect. No, it was just the Connect. We didn't even get the kid an Xbox 360
right?
Because we didn't have enough money at the time to give him that. But he already had a 360, we were told. So it worked out. But it was right when the Connect was like a new thing. And just how much that the kid and his family all lit up just by us being there. We also did the thing where we had anyone that wanted to contribute or help in any way, they signed what was called the DC Strong flag, and each kid got their own flag with hundreds of signatures on it of people that were thinking of them. And it just changed their world, and it changed our worlds at the same time. From there, it didn't matter. I mean, when we took a step back, we were actually putting in like 75 hours each a week trying to figure out how to make this work. And we didn't even notice it at the time that we were putting in that much time, because it just felt right and the right thing to do.
Like I said, that's not typical. I think a lot of people care. A lot of people want to make a difference, but it takes a special person to get out there and do that. And it's not like you did it once or twice and said, okay, I'm good. I've done my deed to society. And honestly, that's kind of what helps fuel me here in Arizona. Because, with the whole One Auto thing, when we do an event, it's almost mandatory now. I said, let's find a charity. Let's find something so that this event actually means something to more people. And I'll be honest with you, man, it has a lot to do with you guys and DC Strong, that event that I went to with you guys, just before I moved here.
I'm happy to hear that. There's been quite a few that I know of, at least in the automotive industry, they've come up to me and they said, we continue to help DC Strong and all that kind of stuff, and I've never. He's like, well, I won't drop their name, but they say they came up to me and told me, he's like, I've never been involved or interested in any fundraising or anything, but after participating in a care package giveaway with you guys, that's the only thing I can think about now is how I can do the next fundraiser to be a part of something like that again. So it's really cool to see how different lives get impacted through. Not even directly, just indirectly impacting lives to, like I said, change other lives.
Yeah, it matters because it makes you ask yourself, what am I doing enough? Am I just living in the comfort, or can I help make someone else's life different? And it even stems beyond that. I mean, we missed this last Christmas, but the Christmas before, adopting a family, like when you take them like this. So we've bought gifts before, and like I say, we as One Auto, but also just this family, my family, and you take them to the donation place and they deliver them. But there's opportunities where you can deliver them, man. When you deliver it, you walk away like, man, we just helped make someone else's world. And I know it's not really a narcissistic thing. It's just, it feels good,
Yeah.
It feels good to make a difference.
Yep.
So how do you think that has fueled you, or has it, or do you not even know if how much that's actually affected you moving forward? Because you've had some struggles too along the way, and I want to talk about those next.
No, I mean, I've had my dips in life and stuff. I mean, I had my accident back in 2012 as well, but every time I've had my down spouts, I guess, whatever you want to call it, downturns in life. I've always just kind of thought to myself, I was like, I do have my health. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't make choices in my past. And obviously, some bad choices obviously get you where you are today. So, I mean, no matter what, I always just tell myself everything happens for a reason. As tacky as that sounds, I literally do live by that motto.
It's important. And I don't know if I'm always conflicted. It's like everything happens for a reason, but I'm so pragmatic. It's like, yeah, my foot hurts because I dropped a rock on it, and that's why it happened, not because it was meant for me to drop a rock on it. But I also believe that anything and everything I've ever done in life has led me to this exact moment right now. Yep. The good and the bad. And I think, we're all the same, and hopefully people listening understand that, because the grass is always greener until you're on the other side. Anything and everything. Yeah. It's like the butterfly effect movie, just the smallest ripple.
Yep.
Puts you to where you're at right now. So you said you had an accident in 2012. What happened?
It's really funny, actually. I think it's funny. My family doesn't think it's that funny, but it's not automotive related, but I'll get into it. So,
Nate, you say that one more time, I'm gonna hang up on you. No, go ahead. It's all right.
It's my brother's wedding, and we are 90 degrees something day out on this concrete band shell on the beach in St. Joe, Michigan. And we're wearing these like 4 or 6 piece tuxes. I don't quite remember the whole day. I'm just going over what people told me happened.
Oh, wow.
And I guess the sermon for the wedding is going on for like 45 minutes. I'm the best man, standing right behind my brother, and obviously the other groomsmen behind me in a line. And I guess right when the pastor said, "You can kiss the bride," my knees had fully locked. And I'm sure people are listening are like, "Oh, I know what happens next." Anyways, I pretty much fainted right there. But I was stiff as a board and went timber style backwards. And what broke my fall was the corner of a concrete step to where my spine connected to my head.
Oh.
And yeah. So you want to talk about lights out, game over right there on the spot.
Yeah.
I guess there wasn't a pulse or anything. And I was pretty much done right there on the spot. I guess they gurneyed me out into an ambulance, rushed me to the ER, and they were doing everything they could to try and realign my neck and head back together and all that kind of stuff. They got a pulse back. And then a couple weeks later, I was pretty much walking somewhat functionally. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's bizarre. I don't know what I envisioned. I don't know what it would have been, but it wasn't that.
Nope. But I was cleared back in end of 2017 to start. I could work out and actually train and run and all that kind of stuff. Just couldn't do contact sports. So I focused on running and ended up running I was at U of M summer 2019. COVID is really throwing me off on my
throwing
timeline here.
Everybody off.
Summer 2019, I had a shot to get. I was given a shot to be with an Olympic trainer to get a chance to figure a way out to the Olympic time trials, because I managed to run a 1,500 meter in 3 minutes 52 seconds.
Jesus.
So I've been just doing my best to work out a bunch, just be as healthy as I can be, and I just trying not to take anything for granted.
So what do you do when you're not working? Like, what do you do for fun? What are your side hobbies?
Well, my hobbies happen to be my work, which is the awesome thing. So,
but you have to have something else, right?
I know. So, I still build Jeeps on the side just for fun. One of the most recent things I got into doing, which again, it sounds dumb because videography is also my job, but I recently got into producing music and music videos for local artists that are trying to find their way out into the music industry. It sounds weird that my hobbies happen to be like career fields, but it's just kind of, I guess, how I'm wired. But I've been really getting into writing music and having artists perform it. And then I shoot the music videos for it.
That's fantastic. And no, it's not weird, because here's the thing. It's like, so a lot of my photographer friends here, the really successful ones, they get a lot of work shooting, but when they get that new lens or that new equipment and they want to try it out, then they want to switch mediums or switch, direction and see what else they can do. They also want to see, they don't want to be stuck doing one thing forever. So they want to switch off and experiment. And so I have a feeling you're able to kind of test your styles and some of the things you did. It's like, okay, this works for vehicles. Let's see what I can do to make this work for people.
200%. Now, I learned so many more things when I'm doing music video shoots, and I do a couple freelance things here on the side for other industries and stuff like that. But once I'm doing my automotive stuff, I've realized I get caught in a rut or a loop where I'm just doing the same shots over and over again. And I'm just like, this is not helping anything right now, because I think we're just shooting the same video over and over again. It's fun to break out, and someone will throw me an off the wall ideas like, I want the video to do this, or I want this kind of shot looking thing. I was like, well, I've never thought of that perspective. And I try to implement it how I can. And I'm like, wow, that was really cool. Guess what we're doing in Ford's commercial
right,
next year?
Exactly. I got to tell you, I don't know how many of these that you've been involved in, but that's one automaker where they were one of the first commercials. I think it was like a Ford F-150 commercial a few years ago. And the Ford, it's pulling a trailer, and all of a sudden the big words come on the screen, and it kind of rotates and stuff like that. And they were the first one that did that.
As the narrator is saying them, they're popping up in steel form with the. I was not a part of that, but I do work with the guy that does the voice work for that. He does a lot of stuff with me.
Yeah, give me a voice job, by the way. But seeing those commercials, it's just like, those are some of the things that other people aren't doing, but you remember that.
Yeah.
I think you had mentioned to me casually about a financial turnaround. You want to tell the listeners about that?
So that was one of my low points, I guess. One of the things that I guess I'm the most guilty of, I feel, as well as a lot of other people, at least in my generation and outside my generation. It's kind of just the thing that's going on, is obviously debt seems to be like the trend, where, I got to focus on the credit score. I got to make sure the credit score is the all-time thing that runs my life kind of thing. And I decided, and a lot of people are like, me being an auto enthusiast, I'm like, I got to have a cool car. I got to have the cool car or something. So I go out and not even do any like down payment, just finance the whole thing. put myself in a really bad spot financially with just mountains of debt and large payments. That's like, yeah, I wrote it out on paper. I could afford it, but I didn't really think about all the other things outside of that I had to pay for to survive in life. So I had probably racked up, I want to say $123,000 in debt, which some people say, oh, that's not much. I'm like, that's a mountain to me.
Does that include a house or no?
That did include a house, but the house was $30,000.
Okay.
So
that's a lot, man. And so how did you get out of that? Because there's a lot of people listening here that are in that situation. And in fact, one of my sponsors is The Credit Mix, actually, not of this segment, but how did you get out of that?
So, I mean, I don't want to be that guy that says the Dave Ramsey thing, but I'm going to say it, the Dave Ramsey thing, where I just listed my debts from smallest to largest. And I had an epiphany one day where I was just like, I can't keep living like this. And I gotta have a major lifestyle change, and it's going to suck for a long time, but it's going to be worth it in the end. So,
is that the snowball approach?
The snowball. Yeah. And it really did work. It mathematically, I do a lot of stats and stuff, and it doesn't make any sense to do it the way I did it, but I did it. And so I paid off one credit card, and I was like, wow, cut that thing up. So no, it was just one of those things where I eventually just started figuring out, I was like, finances is all about emotion more than the actual numbers. So I started just kind of plowing through that, and it took 2.5 years to clear through all of it. And I was literally just ramen noodles like every day, and which was really bad for the amount I was working out and training for Olympics and all that kind of stuff. So,
wait. So what brand of ramen noodles and what flavor do you prefer?
Okay, so it is the spicy chili. It's like the lime green package. It's the top ramen. So I kind of splurged a little bit. Yes, kind of splurged on the top ramen.
So I was always a big Mirachan guy. So Mirachan chicken and I think Mirachan roast beef. And then I'd always add like a little bit of cayenne pepper to it just to give it that little spice. Now, there's different ways to prepare ramen. And we always prepare it in the whatever way that was taught to us or we saw somebody else do it. So for example, I think the first time I ever had ramen, my good friend Victor in Texas made it. But so we did this way where you cook the noodles, you put the noodles in the strainer, you throw the noodles on your plate, and then you add the seasoning, then you mix it up kind of almost like a dry rub to your noodles. Like what do you do? Do you put the seasoning in while you're cooking the noodles?
Two ways how I've cooked it. I always do the dry rub style that you just mentioned. But the beef noodles, so not the spicy chili, but the beef ones, if you cook that and then take an egg and then put the egg in there raw and let it boil in with it. It cooks and stuff with it. Tastes incredible. And then obviously I drain a lot of water out, and then I mix in the sauce packet with it too. And you got yourself one mean dish right there.
It's like almost like a half traditional real ramen, that costs like $5 for a bowl. And then the broke college student method. But then with your method, it's almost like a ramen stroganoff type of approach.
Pretty much.
All right, so that's a good ramen sidebar. So the point is, living off ramen isn't necessarily a bad thing unless you're training for the Olympics.
I mean, it worked. I mean, I kind of like proved a lot of people wrong as far as, well, you have to eat this way, you have to do this, which I will give it to them. Probably would have done a lot better if I ate better. But people that feel that they need to spend a large sum of money on dietary foods and stuff like that, I guess I might be a little bit different body type or something, but I lived pretty cheap on the food side of things, and it's just had a pretty active lifestyle.
Biggest marketing bullshit. Organic. Buy organic this, buy organic, pay extra money for organic over your normal food because it's so much better for you. And I'm not sure it is. And I know that I think even Dr. Drew Pinsky says, that's all just a marketing ploy. and here you are off the ramen.
Well, I mean, I don't know too much about the organic food lifestyle. I want to think that it has to be good for you and healthy for you, but I mean, I think at some point though, if I ate ramen every day all the time, I feel like eventually something would happen with my intestines or stomach at some point where I couldn't process it quite right. But I mean, like I said, if you're caught in a pinch, don't feel like you're not like worth it if you're just eating cheap every day.
No,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense because that's a crutch a lot of people have, right? So they go out and then, I have family where they'll probably eat McDonald's 4 times a week just because it's easy, but it's not cheap. It adds up and it's shit. And but unlike you, they're not working out all the time. So, I think if you're staying active, your body can handle a hell of a lot more than if you're just sitting around on your ass waiting for the winning lotto ticket.
Yep.
So what's the lowest? What's your lowest of your low in the last 4 years? Or you not had that? I mean, at what point during this wave are you like, okay, well, I'm afraid that, has the work ever dried up even for a second? Or with 2020 coming last year, was there any kind of scare? Because a lot of people were getting laid off. I was laid off for 5 months.
So here's the thing. I actually haven't really had. I would say my lowest, when I'm having a low point, is when I'm the most busiest because I just get super bogged down and I get kind of depressed. Like there's no way I'm going to dig myself out of this, and somehow it just happens. But so COVID hit, and state of Michigan was like, "Yo, dog, we're going to shut everything down," and our company partially shut down. Just basically tried to have people work from home, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a pretty good financial spot where I still am. I still do my best to take care of myself.
Well, you don't have any overhead, right? Like,
no.
Yeah, that's why I refer to people as overhead. There's the kids, wife or girlfriend who sucks all your money out. You don't have any of that overhead. It's just you, right?
Yeah. And so I had it. Our company was furloughing employees left and right because they're like, well, we can't physically have you in, so we can't pay you for work, kind of thing. So, they were trying to figure out who to furlough and who not to. And then I actually openly was the only person in the company to openly volunteer to be like, you can furlough me if it means we can hire 3 other people to work in a warehouse so they can still provide for themselves.
Look at you.
They actually declined the offer, but they said that was pretty kind of a noble thing. It was just because I was in a good spot to be. I can find work regardless. So I was just trying my best to help, because we live in a pretty small town and stuff where this branch of Fox is located. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if someone that's a factory worker can't get work here, it's going to be harder for them to go out and find something else.
And also it's like, okay, guys, you can send me home. I got a bunch of lyrics and shit like that I want to write up and produce some of these videos on the side. So I'm good, dog.
Yep, pretty much. Have you actually seen any? Did you see one of my music videos?
I don't think I've seen it. Can I find those under Nate Smith USA, or do I have to go somewhere else?
Well, I've got my YouTube channel that's just Nate Smith, which is super original.
Nate Dog. No, yeah, you got to hook. Well, first, as we wrap this up in a little bit, I want you to tell us all how to get a hold of you, and that'll be part of it. And then I'll make sure I go and check it out and hit the little bell icon.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, there's been times, and you've noticed it, a lot of people notice it, where I just kind of like get rid of social media, or I don't like delete it, but I just completely just go blank for a while. I sometimes just can't handle everything that's going on out there. I just want to take a breather.
Yeah, totally. I never really understood the person who deletes their account. It's like, why don't you just uninstall the app? If that's much of the thing, like why delete your account, but whatever. So what are you driving around today? What is your daily vehicle?
So right now it is the daily. I've got 2 vehicles right now, but the daily is a Chevy Equinox, because that's sexy, right?
Do people look at you kind of sideways when I
roll into work? They're kind of like, this is different. This is not the Nate we know, but it's honestly, if you have one car that can do it all, for regular things that a car was designed to do.
Right. I mean,
nice
because of your
those.
client, they're not looking at you weird. Like, how come you don't have like a freaking Ford Aerostar or something like that?
Yep. It's just kind of one of those things, because that is another thing that people don't think about too when they roll up. Say you want to be like a freelance contractor if you want to be a videographer, photographer. If you roll up in a vehicle that, say, looks like it's $100,000, even though you probably paid $40,000 for it, but you're trying to get that appearance of looking like you have a really nice vehicle, sometimes it might oversell you, and people are going to be like, "Oh, we're paying too much to have this guy here," kind of thing.
Right.
So it's nice to just roll up in a normal, everyday car for certain things. But no, my other vehicle is my pride and joy right now that I've been working on since October. It's a 2010 Rubicon Wrangler.
Attaboy.
And it's a really funny story behind that. I decided I wanted to kind of prove a point, and I wanted to say, well, new Broncos coming out. These new Wranglers are out. They're super capable. They're really expensive factory and stock. Like, a base Rubicon right now, if you buy it brand new from the dealership, I think is right around between $45,000 to $60,000, somewhere in that ballpark range, depending on options. And I went on Auto Trader. I was like, what's the cheapest one in the country? Boom, right there, first one I picked. It happened to be in Michigan, which was really cool. So I was like, oh, I don't have to have it shipped, so I'll figure it out. I went to visit the guy who's over near Flint or wherever, and then he's like, yeah, actually, I left this Jeep out in the field up in the Upper Peninsula for about 5 years. I kind of forgot about it, and I figured I'd bring it down and get rid of it. I was like, this Jeep hasn't moved in 5 years? He's like, yeah, we trailered it down here. So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, yep, it's a 10-year-old vehicle. Well, 11 years old now. We weren't sure it was going to run. I got it running in the guy's driveway, and then we got it, limped it to my buddy's garage, and we just did a comb over, fixed all the drivetrain on it. And then so far I've got it built up to being an actual fun weekend rock crawling machine. And I have the whole video series on my Part Out channel through Fox Factory.
Part Out, I've seen that. I've seen that channel for you.
Yep. So Part Out is a fun off-road channel that I'm the host on, that don't really get much time to do any content for it. But the only way how I've been able to wiggle in content is just by forcing myself to just do my own personal project on it.
Yeah, and I gotta believe maybe this guy sells you this Rubicon, and he's thinking, what a sucker. But at the same time, there's not a lot of people that I personally know that can do the things that you do with Jeeps and just vehicles in general. So you could probably take anything. As long as you can get it running, you can do whatever you want with it.
Yep. And right now, the goal is to, I'm trying to get all of the shell, like the gears, axles, everything good, set and solid. And then that's this summer's project. And I'm going to save up a little bit more over the winter. And hopefully by next spring, summer, I'm going to hopefully do a 392 Hemi swap on the Jeep. So it'll be a 500 horsepower, 2-seater Jeep ready to just jump some sand dunes and hit the rock piles. Sounds kind of dangerous, but it's fun.
Sounds kind of Nate Smith USA.
Yep. Sounds kind of like that.
Nate, how can people get a hold of you?
I mean, my Instagram is Nate_Smith_USA.
How about Part Out?
Part Out is the YouTube channel, and you can just, if you literally type in Part Out, it should be the very first thing you see. It'll be a red and white logo.
Red and white logo. Now, I could just type in Part Out. I don't have to type in Part Out Nate Smith.
Nope. It should just be Part Out, and it should populate. I think I did that earlier today.
In your music videos?
Music videos, this is going to be hard to figure out how to tell, because my channel is just Nate Smith for that one. And I would say if you type in Gone Too Soon, Pediatric Cancer Awareness, you'll get my first music video. And that was the music video I made to commemorate my best friend, Dustin.
And we lost Dustin a couple of years ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That
music video project really helped me. A lot of people seem to find it hard to get closure with certain things. And I struggled for years with losing Dustin, and that whole project, with the amount of people that I had come together to help me make that all work and stuff. It really helped me find closure with all that stuff too. So
I really appreciate you sharing that with us and at least talking about it. I wasn't quite sure if I really wanted to go there, but I'm glad I did, because it gives awareness also to people listening of, who you are. And here's the thing, you're an incredibly humble person. So there's a ton more that you probably could tell us, but that's just the guy you are. And I hope people can kind of see that.
We can leave that all on the back burner.
Yeah. Speaking of back burner, are there any exciting projects that you're working on with a partnership with Ford, with Fox, that you want to break news on right now?
I can't say everything, but I know where you're trying to.
No, I don't want to put you in a position. I just did that just to fuck with you a little bit.
I can only say this: there are some cool Bronco things coming in the future.
Cool Bronco things in the future. Hey, let me get your thoughts real quick. Ford Lightning.
Ford Lightning?
Yeah, the Ford Lightning. You have thoughts on it?
Am I supposed to?
Before we let you go, we'll get you out here on this. What are your thoughts on kind of the way we're going in this whole EV push, especially now with the off-road? Because, they have the Tesla truck and you have a few other trucks that have been announced electric. Obviously, you don't know anything about the Ford Lightning, but, where do you think we're going with that? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, without really knowing anything about the Lightning project, I'm actually kind of excited about all these electric vehicles coming out. I'm not really buying into the whole this is the green eco thing to do or whatever they want to push that way. I'm just purely looking at this from a performance figure standard. And I mean, even if 75% of these figures are true, I'm pretty excited about it. The instant torque you can get for off-road use and all that kind of stuff is just pretty darn cool. I mean, obviously they're quiet. They don't make noise or anything like that. But I mean, I have an auxiliary cord and stuff, or Bluetooth. I'll get some V8 engine sounds in there as I'm putting along.
Right.
I'm excited about it. I feel like there's a lot of new avenues we can go to with the electric cars and electric trucks. I know the truck boom is going to happen here very shortly with every manufacturer saying we've got an electric truck coming out. So,
well, I guess we'll see what's going on. Nate, thanks for joining the Hard Parking Podcast.
Yeah, anytime.
I want to thank Nate Smith for joining the episode. As you could tell, just an incredible young person. And I 100% am being honest when I say that the events that I have done with him, and especially one specific event before I moved here to Arizona 7 years ago, is one of the main reasons why I try to be better, because you get to see stuff like that. And that's Nate Smith, the video marketing specialist. Make sure you give him a shout. Make sure you give him a follow, Nate_Smith_USA. Go to ridefox.com, all ran together, RIDEFOX.com, and check out the stuff that he's doing. Fox Factory. He does a lot of those commercials as a video marketing specialist. And I don't know if he did the one at the bottom, but that is one exciting video. I watched it the other day. I was like, holy shit, this is badass. And I wouldn't put it past him if he did it, or even if he didn't. He's definitely capable of doing it. So check him out. I'm supposed to be in Michigan in a couple months, family vacation. Don't know how much spare time I'll have, but if he's in town, because he doesn't actually live in Grand Rapids, he lives a little further out. But if he's in town, it'd be cool to try to rendezvous with him. So keep tabs on that. Ooh, also, one of my ultimate dream cars is up there. So I got to reach out to another good friend and see if I can get my date with a Vector W8. Oh my God, that would just be Chris Ashworth. I'm going to reach out to you. And this time you're going to make it happen. Hopefully. It'd be like a dream. It's my dream car. It's time for the rental car of the week, sponsored by Higher Quality Detail out of Tempe, Arizona. They specialize in premium vehicle protection solutions and cosmetic customizations as your one-stop shop, ranging from basic detailing options through ceramic coating, paint correction, protection films, and more. Visit Ceramic Pro Arizona, one word, on Instagram, or Higher Quality Detail, that's HYER, also one word, and get started looking your best today. Today, I found someone who has a rental car since I don't get to rent cars very often. This week's guest is Cam Kupka. Welcome to the podcast.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it, man.
Thanks for being available. So we know each other from one of the Infinity forums. on Facebook, and you had just randomly mentioned, I don't remember if you had posted about it or we were talking on the side and you said you rented a Mustang and you weren't very excited about it. So I said, you better come on the show and let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I think we're also friends on Facebook now because you gave me a lot of great info on it, and figured, man, we got to, friend each other and talk more. And I think I posted on my story that I got the Mustang, and you just kind of asked about it on
that's what it was.
Replied to the story. So
that's what it was. Yeah, I replied to one of your posts. So what did you need a Mustang rental for?
Well, so I was in Atlanta, Georgia on both business and family. I flew out over there for a few days, and my buddy also works at Enterprise, so I get a great deal.
Nice.
So of course I'm gonna get the Sport.
Right.
And it's not even that. It's like a few dollars more than just the economy and mid-size and even the full-size vehicles. So I'm like, all right, I want the Sport rental, and I believe I got in on a Friday afternoon, so there wasn't too much of a selection. There was maybe 2 Challengers, a gray one and a dark red, and there was 6 or so Mustangs. All convertible. I believe they were all 2021, all the same ones, just different colors, red, white, black, silver, all the generic stuff. And I was taking so long, just looking at every single one and like looking them up online, like what their specs are, like what the packages are. And
that's funny.
Oh yeah, man. Cause everybody has stuff that they're into. And I've always, since I was a kid, raised, riding bikes and dirt bikes, and dad had a big old lifted truck, and I've always been a fan of, I guess, motorized vehicles. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to test drive something that is fun, and I'm going to, really test drive it and then just, see what I like about it and what I don't. And, I'll just have that knowledge. And maybe if I am in the market or if I know somebody that is, hey, I know a little bit about it.
So you grabbed the Mustang? Yeah,
I grabbed a red one, which is like looking back, it's like, all right, come on, man.
Yeah, I don't even know what trims the rental class come in. Because back in the day, it was just an LX and 5.0, and now there's like 4 or 5 different trims.
So the Enterprise ones at this Atlanta International Airport, I think there's a few rental companies.
Sure.
I know if you want, there is like another area where you could get like exotics and like higher end stuff. Yeah. But I didn't even see those. Where I was, it was just like base,
I think the base Mustang comes decently. I mean, all things considered, stronger than they used to be.
Yeah, it had the, let me see here, the 4-cylinder EcoBoost. It had like 310 horsepower or something like that.
Sure.
Which, I mean, for a 4-cylinder is pretty impressive. And I mean, 310 horsepower for like a base stock vehicle, whether it's, considered a sport car or not, is still, relatively impressive. And me, I know I'm not really too worried about the power, because it's like, any of these you can buy, like, the Challenger, there's SRT and the Hellcat, the Demon.
Right.
There's performance packages, and the Mustang, there's the 5.0 and like the Shelby and there's power options. So that's not really what you can make anything fast. I'm concerned about like the handling, the interior, how comfortable it is, and all the little nuances aside from the power itself and just the overall drive.
So what were your thoughts of the interior first off? So you pick it up, you're looking around. Was it ergonomic? Did it make sense? A lot of plastic, not a lot of plastic?
It was, how do I describe it? Very ergonomic wise, kind of.
Okay, so
it still
sort of made sense a little bit.
Yeah, it had more of that classic muscle and classic feel to it or vibe to it, with a mix of a modern twist on it. The interface of it for the driver, like the cockpit, it was fairly simple and easy to understand. Some things about it I didn't care for too much, but it was
like what? So I'm assuming, being a Mustang, it has CarPlay.
Oh yeah, to plug in your phone. Yeah,
and all of a sudden, okay, I love CarPlay.
Yeah, it had that, which definitely
It almost makes you
Easy-
forget when
easy
other
work.
shit gets on your nerves.
Yeah, it's convenient. But it wasn't anything special, but it wasn't anything that was too bad to complain about. It was really the vision. And look, I know it's a coupe. It's a sports car. Your vision, whether it be your peripherals or behind you or your blind spots, isn't, going to be the best. So I get that. But it was pretty bad in there.
Have you ever driven a Camaro, like a newer Camaro? Like when I say newer, I'm talking like 2010 forward.
I have not.
Can't see shit.
Oh,
You can't see shit, but just forward.
yeah, the view was, not really too good. The steering was pretty bad. I guess range of motion and how difficult it was, how tough it was to steer was kind of a.
Was it super tight or super loose?
Tight, very, very tight. Very tight. And okay, so not just the steering, but the vehicle as a whole is very shaky. It's very, very it doesn't feel stable. It feels kind of
like a boat.
No. Like
or the exact opposite.
Janky.
Okay.
It feels janky. It feels like when you're another thing too. I like everything about it. When you're cornering, when you're hitting turns, it just feels janky. It feels like it's fighting with everything, with every ounce of strength it has to stay stuck to the ground. And you're going like 10 miles over the speed limit on a corner. It feels like you're about to slip out, and the tires are going to break traction any second. And I mean, we've seen all the memes of the Mustangs on the internet, notorious for that. And I was like, maybe it's a bad drivers or whatever. And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's just like people or community trolling the Mustang community and whatever, well, I got to see it for myself. No, dude, that is absolutely real. It's a real thing.
Now, for listeners though, are you just picking up groceries and stuff, or are you kind of pushing the limits of these cars to see what they can do?
Oh, I do that probably when I do go to the grocery store.
Right there you go. Okay,
yeah.
So what did you like about the Mustang before we switch gears? Nothing?
Man, let me think about this. So I guess in terms of its power, like if it was the same power as that Challenger, that same horsepower, whatever, I liked its acceleration, its torque. It had good torque. It picked up speed pretty quick. Like if I was on the freeway and I wanted to shoot a gap real quick and get around some cars and find an open lane, it could downshift really quick and pick up speed really fast, and I could get around people. Whereas sure, we'll talk about the Challenger after. The Challenger was a little more hesitant on it, but I guess that's probably something the Mustang was a little bit better at.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you rent a Mustang again? And what if there was a 5.0 sitting there that wasn't a convertible? Because they like to do that whole convertible game, and I try not to grab those.
If there was if I had like a choice, like, okay, you can only have this next vehicle for 10 years. You can't get anything else, right? You can't upgrade it. It comes the way it comes, and that's it. You don't have a choice, but you get it for free. And you have the Mustang or the Challenger. But if you pick the Mustang, you get like $5,000 cash on top. I'd pick the Challenger.
Oh yeah, loving it, huh?
For sure.
In your personal life, I think you had mentioned you have a QX Infinity.
Yeah, I got
Tell us about it.
2016 QX70. I got that in February, and I never owned an Infinity, and my buddy, he's had a couple, and he actually told me to get a G37 instead of that Mercedes CLS when I was 18, and that would have been a way better decision.
So what do you have done to your QX70? What do you plan on doing? We'll get you out here on that.
Yeah. So right away, I think the first thing I did was put a catback on it. So I got a catback made from a local guy. Then I started messing with like some just cosmetic stuff. I got a carbon fiber dash kit. I debadged it, painted some of the trim black. I got Callahan or Power Stop brake upgrade kit. So all 4 rotors, the calipers, I got red calipers and then pads. I threw those on. I did a wrap. I did a satin black wrap. Yeah, all the badges taken off, all the trim, the fenders, the roof racks, everything is gloss black. I just painted the wheels for now, but I actually have Gianelli Verde 22s coming in.
If people want to see more of the build, are you posting that on social media? Is it on your Instagram?
Oh, yeah.
That'll be awesome. So if people want to follow you, they can hit you up at Cam Kupka on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
At CAMKUPKA. Thanks, Cam.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Cam, for joining and telling us about your awesome experience with your Mustang rental. I've done this before. I've rented a convertible and I could not figure out how to get the damn top down. And I don't remember. I think it was a Mustang. Because I've had Camaros before. I've had the basic one and I've had the 2SS, and both of which are hardtops. I am not a convertible guy. I don't care about convertibles. But I think if there was ever time to rent a vehicle, or I think if there was ever a time to drive a convertible, it would be a rental. And for some weird reason, I can understand why. Go on vacation, take the top down, and then you're having a good time. Just don't do the thing that we talked about, how brothers love the slingshots. Pull up to the club, bumping your music in your rental Mustang with the top down. Not a good look. Not a good look at all. It's time for the Q&A segment, sponsored by The Credit Mix. Fix your credit and fix your life. Go to Calendly.com/Mr. Financial Freedom and schedule your 15-minute consult. While you're out there scheduling your 15-minute credit consult, use promo code HP Credit. That's hard parking credit, HP Credit, for special pricing. That's The Credit Mix with 2 E's. Fix your credit and fix your life. You know, I'm thinking about stopping this Q&A segment because I ask you guys to submit questions on Hard Parking Violations Facebook page. I ask you guys to submit questions on Instagram, usually at NA2NSX, almost never at JHA_travels. And I feel like it's more difficult to get questions. And I want to give you, the listeners, an opportunity to be part of the show. I want to bring you in as my family, as my people. First question comes from Roderick, RJ, as you all know him as. Can I have one question that doesn't get crumpled up? So tempting. RJ, you got it. Nathan Bogner asks, if you had to build a true stance car, what would it be and how would you do it? I think I had a similar question before and I didn't really answer it because it was too drawn out of an answer. It was like, you know, how do you prepare for your next build? You know, do you draw everything out? Do you set out a budget? All the above. If I had to build a true stance car, what would it be and how would I do it? Well, everything starts with money. Now, some of you listening to this have no idea what the fuck a stance car is, and that's okay. But for those of you who do, I would probably get some sort of Euro. I have a big thing for old Aston Martins. I have a big thing for old Alfa Romeos. Some of those really cool Euros from like the 70s and the 80s. There's a project that those who know me really close know that I'm always thinking about and I'm always talking about. And some people don't even know me that closely. You just have to catch me at the right time and I'll tell you. I can't tell you what it is. I don't want nobody to steal that idea. But I would just make sure it is period correct and something that's unique with my own twist on it. And that's how I would do it. I would take my time. I would do my research. I wouldn't rush anything. And I would make sure that I gave that the same sort of passion that I do anything else I do, whether it's this podcast, whether it's designing the wrap for the NSX, whether it's doing the other build on the NSX without the wrap, because I've had the car for 9 years in a couple months from now, and it was only wrapped for 2.5 years. But I am known for taking my time and being very careful and strategic. So I would do the same thing if I were to build a true stance car. Moni Moan Productions. First time he submitted a question, and he actually left me a comment, and I asked him, I said, was that a question? He goes, oh shit, is that what we're doing? Questions? My bad. I said, no, I'm going to use this because I could talk about it. Instagram spam and hooker bots in Instagram stories. A lot of you who have Instagram may have noticed at some point in the last 4 months, you just started getting unsolicited DMs. And some of them are really bad. And some of them are just trying to sell you advertising. And so you have to go through and you can change on your settings to only allow DMs from people that are your friends, which kind of sucks because someone could be following you out there if you have a big account and they can't send you a DM if you disable the ability for someone to send you a DM that you're not friends with. If you have a private account and you like to keep it close to the vest, then that makes sense. But if you have an account like mine that's not private, then you just have to kind of put up with it. But it kind of made me laugh a little bit because when you go through your Instagram story, you can see everybody who looks at it. So for those of you who go to my polls, if I say, do you like this movie? Do you do this? Do you do that? Everybody that skips when I ask you to submit a question for Q&A segment, I can see everybody who looks at my story. Everybody. I can see everybody who looks when I say, here's a new video that I've worked my ass off and trying to make. Could you please support me by subscribing to the YouTube channel? And you don't, I know who you are. I watch and I get a little pissed off sometimes, but I know that I can't because people are people. I can't blame you for being an asshole. But anyway, you do get those random spam things. But the funny thing, and I always smirk, I always laugh about this, is on Facebook. You get these friend requests, and it's always this incredibly good-looking person. And you don't even click on it to find out who they are. You're like, there's no way. This has got to be spam. There's no way this person wants to have anything to do with me. And you're right, 99.9% of the time. Sometimes it could just be some random person in the car community that actually does have something to do with you. And you look, this person is friends with like 6 of my friends. Oh, and they're actually somebody in the car community. They're not just some rando who sent out friend requests and idiots said, okay, I want to be your friend because you're hot. But I wonder, like women, does that happen to you? Catherine, you listen to this podcast a lot. You're one of the women that listen to this podcast. Does that happen? Do you ever get a friend request and you're like, oh no, there's no way that's a real friend request? Or is it just different? Because we all experience things differently on social media. We think we experience them the same, but we don't. Moni Moan Productions. Good question. Good statement. Last question. Catherine Cox, speaking of. Adaptability is key in business. How are you at adapting to utilizing chosen pronouns? Really? Nothing to adapt to. If someone says, I want to be called she and her, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what your voice sounds like. I'm going to refer to you as she and her. It's like Dr. Girlfriend. If you guys don't know who that is, Google Dr. Girlfriend. Like literally Google Dr. Girlfriend. It's from Venture Brothers. Dr. Girlfriend, I mean, it's a woman, sounds like a dude. So it is what it is. And that's your Q&A segment. So next weekend is Memorial Day weekend. Lots of plans. We are going to be in SoCal again with the family. So whatever you guys do out there, please be safe. Enjoy your weekend. We'll still have an episode that'll drop Monday morning on the holiday, hopefully. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe to the podcast. Drop me a note, hardparkingpodcast@gmail.com. Please tell a friend, because that's really the best way for these podcasts to grow, is to kind of tell a friend how cool this podcast is. If you want to be a guest, if you're out there, if you bought a car, whether it's brand new or used, if you've rented a vehicle, let me know. Get on the show and tell me all about it. And here's the thing. There's other people out there who find great value in that information as well. They want to know that if they go to rent a car, which one should they rent for the situation? They also want to know, well, maybe I'm curious about a convertible Mustang and I want one. I want to know what they're like. And sure, the buck doesn't stop with one review, but at least you have kind of an idea of what to expect. Cam also did say, I will add, that he called me back like a day later and forgot to say that when he'd pull out of a driveway, the car would kind of stutter a little bit. I don't know what that is. He thought maybe it had something to do with the EcoBoost. I don't know. I don't know if it's a known issue. I don't know if it's just the car acting the way it's supposed to. It's kind of like the CVT transmission, the video that I posted, where I couldn't stand the CVT transmission, but by the end of the week, I kind of understood it because it started to understand me. So I'm not quite sure if, all the electronics is helping or it's hurting what's going on. And if you get an overly complicated rental car, by the time you figure it out, it's time to turn it in. I want to thank Wright Honda out of Scottsdale, Arizona, high quality detail out of Tempe, Arizona, boosterbath.com, 4-wheel online, tonguetreats.com, Cell Shop Wireless Services, The Credit Mix, Patreon business supporter Kuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida. Speaking of Patreon, if you're in a position to help the podcast upgrade, join the Patreon for as little as $3 a month and get access to bonus audio as well as show swag. I'm actually working on a new t-shirt. All my Patreons are going to get it for free. That's my way of saying thank you. And it's not free to me. I'm going to freaking design it and pay for it and order the stuff. Anyway, or you can also support the show. There's an anchor.fm link in the description. Allows you to support the show for as low as 99 cents a month. Which, like I said before, you can't even buy drip coffee at any coffee shop for that price. So what you're basically telling me is I ain't worth a cup of coffee. That's cool. It's not personal. Pick up some show swag at the Teespring store. The link is in the show description as well. Follow me on Instagram at NA2NSX or JTravels, that's JHE_travels. And join the Hard Parking Violations Facebook page. That's facebook.com/hardparkingmedia. And find the group Hard Parking Violations. Follow the YouTube Hard Parking Podcast. YouTube.com Hard Parking Podcast. I can't grow without you telling the world how great this show is. So let's do this. Let's grow this thing together. Again, next week is Memorial Day weekend. So please take care and I'll catch you on the flip side. For over a decade, 4-Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. They're dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any maker model on the road. Their truck products cover everything you need for a custom look and added functionality. I was talking about a wheel and tire package. Head over and use their configuration tool. They carry all the major brands of wheels and tires, so go get outfitted today. Visit them at 4-Wheel Online. That's 4-Wheel, singular, online. Are you tired of your dog losing its cool in a thunderstorm or fireworks? You might want to look at Tongue Treats. TongueTreats.com. High anxiety relief, pain relief, inflammation relief. It's a direct connection between the tongue and the brain. Doesn't waste time going down to the stomach, where it gets broken down, enters the bloodstream, then to the brain eventually. By then, little Izzy, my dog, has been hiding under the house for like 20 minutes. The Tongue Treat CBD strips provide rapid results for your pet with the right amount of CBD, which is not psychoactive. It's important to test and verify your pet is getting the proper dosage. A single strip should be enough. Have doubts? There's certified analysis from a lab available on the website. Think about it. Efficacy and economy. Tongue Treats.
Shut up!